All right, today we're going to go deep inside the human jaw to uncover this hidden suspension system. It's an absolute masterpiece of natural engineering. We're going to explore what happens when it's lost and the incredible science clinicians use to fight back against, well, the relentless forces of nature. So, let's dive in.
Okay, I know it sounds like the beginning of a really weird joke, right? But the answer actually gets to a fundamental principle of biomechanics. See, both of them are designed to withstand just incredible forces, day in and day out, without collapsing. But how do they do it? The secret is a hidden suspension system. You see, a natural tooth isn't just fused directly to the bone like a rock. It's suspended. And when that suspension is gone, oh man, the difference is like standing on solid ground versus trying to stand on a waterbed. One is stable, it's responsive. The other, it's totally unpredictable and just shifts under pressure. So, to really understand what goes wrong, we first have to appreciate what our bodies got so right. Let's take a look at the brilliant design of a healthy, natural tooth and its whole support structure.
Okay, so meet the unsung hero of your mouth, the periodontal ligament, or as we call it, the PDL. This tiny little band of tissue is a biomechanical superhero. Seriously, it acts as a shock absorber, cushioning every single bite. It provides sensory feedback so your brain knows exactly how hard you're chewing, and, crucially, it directs all those forces right down the long axis of the tooth, where the bone is the absolute strongest.
Now, what happens the moment this hero, the PDL, disappears? The entire system just fundamentally changes. All those forces that were once managed perfectly are now completely unleashed onto a much more vulnerable foundation. Look at that number. A natural tooth held in place by that PDL has this tiny controlled movement of about 1/10 of a millimeter. That is our baseline, a stable, predictable system. It's just enough give to absorb shock without ever feeling loose. Now contrast that with this. Without the PDL, a complete denture that's just resting on soft gum tissue can move up to 3 millimeters. I mean, the scale of this difference is just staggering. The foundation has gone from solid ground right back to that wobbly waterbed we were talking about. And putting those numbers side by side like this, wow, it shows a 10 to 20 times increase in movement. This isn't just some small change. It's a complete biomechanical revolution, and it explains that feeling of instability that people talk about. This dramatic instability, well, it creates more than just discomfort. It actually kicks off a much slower, and you could say more destructive process that happens completely out of sight, deep down inside the jaw itself.
It has a big name, Residual Ridge Resorption, or RRR. It's a chronic, progressive, and this is the really important part, irreversible process. It's where the jawbone, since it's not getting that stimulation it used to get through the teeth, simply begins to waste away. The very foundation starts to disappear.
And, this process isn't even equal. The upper jaw, with its big, broad palate, has a really large surface area to distribute forces, which makes it more stable. But the lower jaw, it's just this small, horseshoe-shaped ridge with way less support area. That makes it far more vulnerable to both instability and this destructive bone loss. It's at a huge biomechanical disadvantage right from the get-go. So now we've got an unstable foundation that's actively disappearing. And on top of that, we have these invisible enemies constantly working to make things worse. The powerful forces of chewing. But not all forces are created equal. Vertical compressive forces, think straight up and down, are generally pretty well tolerated by bone. But horizontal or shearing forces, they are incredibly destructive. They tip and rock the denture, which just accelerates that bone loss. And the worst of all, oblique forces, a combination of the two. They cause the most harm, period. So the challenge is immense, right? We've got an unstable foundation, a disappearing ridge, and these destructive horizontal forces. So how do clinicians fight back? Well, this is where they become biomechanical engineers. This quote, this is the entire philosophy. It is the core mission. You can't just eliminate the forces of chewing. That's impossible. But you can be really clever about redirecting them. The goal is to take those destructive horizontal and oblique forces and, through smart design, actually transform them into the vertical, compressive forces that the bone can handle. And here's the playbook. You do it by increasing the surface area of the denture base to spread the load out, kind of like a snowshoe on snow, by creating a balanced bite so forces are distributed evenly, and by carefully shaping every single surface to minimize those harmful horizontal tipping forces. It is all about force management. Okay, so let's bring all this together. The fundamental problem here is the loss of that direct, stable connection to the bone that was provided by our hero, the PDL. So how can modern dentistry even attempt to restore that? This chart just powerfully contrasts the two realities. On one side, you have the mucosa-supported denture resting on that shifting soft tissue foundation, but on the other, implants create a direct anchor into the bone itself. They completely bypass the soft tissue to minimize displacement, they help preserve bone, and they even bring back some of that crucial sensory feedback. It's literally an attempt to turn back the biomechanical clock.
Which leaves us with this final and, I think, crucial question. We've developed these incredible engineering solutions to manage forces and restore stability in a really compromised system. But are we just fighting a brilliant delaying action, or can we one day truly halt this fundamental biological process of reabsorption? That remains the ultimate challenge.